I was hoping to ask two questions if I could. One is, Blanche, I assume that as you were writing the book you were talking it over with Bob, so I'm interested to know, were there things that he said that got you to change your perceptions and what you would otherwise have written? And the second question is, I saw the Hawke movie, and for me it unfolded pretty well, but the impressive part was right at the end where it listed the achievements of the Hawke government. I was wondering whether you'd like to list what you see as being the main achievements of what his government did. Thanks.
Oh, wow. Well, just going to well, I started at the beginning of your question. I didn't interview him at all for the book until the manuscript was finished, because he'd written his own memoirs, and once somebody has written their memoirs, that's in their mind, that's how it happened, and they never changed from the script, and I knew that would be very much the case with him. So I would tell him sometimes interesting things that people had said to me, but I really gave him no idea of what kind of story I was writing, and nor did I speak only to his friends, as a lot of the press has tried to suggest. I spoke to his political enemies, one of them, of course, by that time being Graham Richardson. I wanted to talk to Paul Keating, but he, after a long deliberation, almost 4 months, he said no. But then I read 10 years of press clippings, and you can rely very much on the ladies and gentlemen of the press gallery to be inimical to you if you're a politician for long enough. So there was, I took in as much of the negative sentiment about him as I could, though that wasn't the main focus of the story. The focus was the leadership. And it was only at the end that I left gaps in the manuscript where I needed a quote from him, that I showed it to him and got the quote. And he got me to change. I had a couple of things completely wrong. He got me to change them. But otherwise, although he didn't like all of it, and quite often didn't like what people were saying about him, he didn't ask me to change it. And that had been the case with the first biography too. He hated that. When he first read it. But it was only later people said to him, listen, it's fantastic, and then he came round.
And the point about his achievement?
Oh, I'm sorry, and the point about his achievement. Yes, well, the movie was called Hawke, and then the last 45 seconds there's a scroll down of what it... Well, there are a lot of things to list, some of them that we've mentioned already, but one of them that we haven't was the educational reforms. When the Hawke government came in, the number of children who completed high school was only 33%, which was appalling. It was the lowest in the OECD. And when he left government, it was 67%. So that was an enormous achievement in terms of education. In terms of welfare payments, they were increased dramatically. Of course, tariffs were cut dramatically, something which South Australia didn't immediately appreciate, I don't think, especially for the car industry and other manufacturers. But these were all they were necessary reforms. I'm leaving out a lot.
It is impossible. One that strikes me is the maturing of the relationship with the United States is a very important long-term effect, and of the China relationship.
The China relationship was really critical because it was Bob's idea. Bob and Ross Garnaut, Professor Ross Garnaut was his economic advisor working in his office, and Garnaut had studied trade in East Asia and Southeast Asia a great deal. And he and Bob talked about it, and I don't know which one suggested it, but it came to be that Bob said to the Chinese, you want to make steel, and we've got lots of iron ore. And also you're making steel, but it's very poor quality steel. So, and we make a little bit of steel, and it's much better quality. So let's start having an arrangement on this. And that was the beginning of the enormous China trade, which has created tens of thousands of jobs and billions and billions and billions and billions of dollars for the economy since then. So it was really founded on those conversations with the Chinese leadership.
I might just add for the audience that we do have in our civic gallery on the third level a list of achievements of the Hawke government. One that hasn't been mentioned tonight was Hawke's fight against apartheid.
Oh, yes.
And which led Nelson Mandela to visit him in Australia after his release. And Nelson Mandela is the international patron of the Hawke Centre. So that's an important story for us.
Oh, and there was
it's not well remembered, I think, how that was done through the back door.
Yes, that was another piece of very deft. It wasn't diplomacy, but a deft manoeuvring, and it had to be done under the radar of the South African security forces, who were very savage and quite murderous in those days. It was it's a really interesting story, which is in the book.
It's in the book.
It's in the book. But the other thing I should have mentioned was it was Bob's idea that somehow peace must be brought to Cambodia, that the warring factions would have to be brought together. And he launched Bill Hayden on doing this. Hayden went as far as he could, and then but then got stymied. And then Gareth Evans took it on and established the Cambodian peace accords.
And in a sense, that was part of the maturing of the American relationship,
Yes.
because we broke away from recognising the Khmer Rouge government.
Yes.
Do we have any more questions? So we've got one in the middle here, thanks.